Welcome to Winter 14. We're talking about the Service Cloud. This is session 1, and we'll be doing a second session tomorrow talking about some other features. We'll share more information about that towards the end of this webinar. This webinar will be covering Case Management, Service Cloud Console, and the CTI and Live Agent. We have some fantastic product managers who are here to demo what they are responsible for. We're very excited. My name is Sam Acuff. I work for Customers for Life. That's the post-sales organization to ensure our customer success. And I want to introduce Jennifer.
Hi everyone, Jennifer Sachs. I'm also part of our Customers for Life team and the program manager for our Release Readiness program. So definitely excited for you guys to hear all about these great new features, and I'm looking for feedback on anything we can do to improve the experience or help you guys get more acclimated and excited to everything we're releasing for Winter 14.
Our agenda, we'll be doing this quick welcome. I'll be talking a little bit about the success community, milestones, and then we'll launch right into why you're here with the subject matter experts that you want to hear from. So the success community is really important here. We have a community, a collaboration group for our Premier customers and one for our Standard Success Plan customers. These are Release Readiness collaboration groups. Jennifer, I think you're going to put those links right in the chat widget in your GoToWebinar. It's really important that you go to your organization, go to Help and Training, click on the Collaboration tab, and then search for these groups and join them. If you're Premier, join the Premier group. If you're a Standard Success Plan, join the Standard Success Plan group. These are our product marketing, our release marketing's primary channels of getting information to you about the releases throughout the year going forward. This is brand new as of July. We're very excited. And what's really exciting is we have over 3,000 people participating in these groups, answering each other's questions, asking questions. We have Salesforce MVPs, and we have full-time moderators moderating in these communities and these collaboration groups. So go join the conversation. This conversation right now doesn't end. It continues on into the community. For this webinar, please use the question widget in the webinar panel and ask your questions. We're going to have more questions than what we can actually answer on the webinar. We're going to gather those up in an FAQ document, and we'll be posting it in the community along with this deck and the recording of the session. So you'll have all of those as materials that will be hosted in the community after the fact. It takes us about a day to get that done, maybe 2 days. Our safe harbor statement is really important to understand that any purchasing decisions that you make should be based upon current functionality in Salesforce. Really quickly, the milestones, the actual release is right around the corner. We have on Friday the 4th is when our first staggered release goes up into NA 6, 7, 8, 9, and 13. And then our other environments go up on Friday and Saturday the 11th and 12th. Very interesting to note that we had targeted as the 4th for when release training would be available. I just posted in the community about 45 minutes ago that that training is available now. We delivered it in advance, so it's there for you to look at and prepare for your certifications and take that release training, that standard training available for all users. So we delivered early. We're really excited about that. You might hear throughout the presentation different release types. GA means it's generally available. Beta, it's a minimum customer feature set made available for customers on an opt-in basis. Pilot, if you hear about a pilot, your channel of getting involved in a pilot is your account executive. And also developer preview. And this provides early testing for in Developer Edition org so that we can get more feedback about a feature being considered. So you might hear about different release types. Those are the definitions. And now what I'm going to do is turn this over to the people that you really want to hear from. So I'm going to pass the baton to Scott. He's going to introduce himself, and he's going to talk about case management. and entitlement management.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks a lot, Sam and Jennifer. I appreciate the intro, and I'm looking forward to speaking with everyone about some really exciting new features that we've got coming for the winter. My name is Scott Bichuk. I am part of the product management team with Service Cloud, and let's get started. So we have a tremendous number of features coming out in the winter, an avalanche, if you will. I am going to focus just on the case management features for this particular portion of the session, and then a couple other product managers are going to pick up where I leave off and fill in some of the other stories and features that we've got coming. So in case management, we are bringing the case feed UI to mobile devices. And this is a very exciting thing because we're transitioning as a strategy a lot of our platform features we're now exposing via the phone, and that's all HTML5, so iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Windows 8. It's really an incredible shift, and we've seen the industry making this move, and we're putting case feed out there to anticipate those changes. So field service agents, sales reps in the field who want to check on the status of cases, or anyone who's on the go can now have access to the case feed. We've also introduced something called the Publisher Interaction API, and what this is all about is allowing our customers who develop their own Visualforce components inside of the console, whether in sidebars or other areas of the console, can now directly communicate with the case feed page. And I'll demonstrate how one of the really powerful use cases there, injecting text into the body of a publisher. Next, I'll talk about the milestone tracker and feed items that we're introducing. So when you're looking at SLA management or entitlement management inside of Salesforce, we now provide on the case feed page and inside of console sidebars a tracking device to check where you are within your SLA process and if you violated or missed any of your milestones. Feed items are also a great way to visualize what's happening in your SLA. We'll also look at recurring milestones, a great new feature that I'll explain later. Process versioning, again, another very powerful feature for those who have adopted entitlement management, or for those who have yet to adopt it because of a lack of this particular capability. We can also reparent entitlements now. Okay, with that, I am going to cut the slide short and jump right into the demo. So here we go. All right, I've got a demo org here that has a configuration with the case feed configured here in the main case detail portion. I've created a custom Visualforce component here on the right, and what I'm going to demonstrate right now to get us started is the Publisher Interaction API. So a lot of customers ask us, how do I get the contents of a knowledge article into an email so that an agent can send that knowledge article as content as part of the body of the email? With Publisher Interaction API, now you can use our JavaScript API to create a tool like this to do just that. So when I click this email button here, what it's going to do is it's going to select the email publisher over here, so that's also something that you can do with the API, and then it's going to also inject the rich text HTML contents of this article into the publisher. So go ahead and click this here, and you can see what we have now is an article that is the same article content that we would have had we just opened this directly. While this is opening, I'll just make a note. Everything you're seeing here is on a pre-release development org because it hasn't gone live into production yet. So we may see some delays or some funky behavior as I go on. But so far, so good. Okay, next thing I want to show is what we are going to be branding as our new mobile app for all of Salesforce. I'm going to bring it up here and just give ourselves a slightly less distracting background. Okay. Now this mobile app is similar to the Chatter app today, except we're adding a few things for the winter release. And when Dreamforce rolls around at the end of November, you're going to see the debut of this brand new app. So I'm going to focus on the service and support features that we've introduced. So now you have access to all of your dashboards that you create. Any custom dashboards or out-of-the-box dashboards are available here. We click over to the left. We call this stage left. And in the stage left area contains the feed dashboards, and any applications or tabs that you've created for things, standard objects like cases and contacts, and then also custom things that you might have built in Visualforce or with a new type of page that we call Flexi Pages. Flexi Pages are strictly for the mobile experience today, and you can learn more about that in the release notes. I'm going to head over and check out a case. I was working on case 1001 earlier today. Just want to show you what this looks like. So we have the full case feed view here. So we have new cases, child cases that we've created that are related to this case. We've got contacts that we've created for this particular case. And if I scroll down, we'll even see that I've got the emails that I've written back and forth with the customer represented here in the feed. In addition to that, I can open up my publisher actions, and directly, this is very similar to the chatter publisher on the desktop, but this is obviously designed in such a way that works nice on a phone form factor. You can create child cases, tasks, just about anything that you can do with publisher actions on the desktop is possible in mobile now. So if we were to click log a call, you'll see that we've already related it to the case that you're working on. So with predefined values, you could really speed up the process of getting new cases created and new interactions on that case created when you're on the go. Okay. Let me switch gears one more time. I'm going to show now, I've got a different demo org here where I've configured a few things with entitlement management. So one of the really exciting things that we're introducing here is the addition of new entitlement feed items to show chronologically when certain SLA milestones occurred, either were completed or were violated. And this is important because the case feed, the power of the case feed is representing as many of those interactions that you've had with the customer and with the case in a single chronological timeline. And this goes a long way to helping us get that complete view. So we've got a very rich feed here, and we've also introduced, on the right-hand side, a new component that we call the milestone tracker. So this tracker is a standard component that you can add declaratively to the page, either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the publisher that you see here, or you can add it in a console sidebar like I've added here. It's a standard Visualforce component if you want to go that route. And this actually shows me that my update customer milestone, actually I missed that. That's 3 days ago. I'm not doing a very good job on that one. But I can actually scroll down and take a look in this other view to see all of the milestones that I've completed, as well as the milestones that are coming up. So I'm just going to go ahead here and delete that guy. So, what just happened? So I completed the milestone, but yet I've got a new milestone coming up. That is a new feature that we call recurring milestones. Let me show you how that looks. If you look at the data, we'll see down here that we actually have two different update customer case milestones. And that's because we created a single update customer milestone with a recurrence. So a great example is last customer touch point. So if you want to set up one or more recurring milestones in an SLA process, that's very easy to do now. Okay, and let me move on now to a feature that we call entitlement versioning. Entitlement versioning, oops, I'm going to actually use this other org here. Entitlement versioning is a feature that customers, our largest enterprise customers who we consider our power users, have been asking since we introduced entitlement management in Salesforce. Now, what it solves is if you create an entitlement process and have assigned that or associated that to one or more cases, in some large orgs that could be thousands or tens of thousands of cases, previously it was not possible to upgrade or change that entitlement process once it was active. But with entitlement versioning, now you can do that. So I'm going to actually take a look at a particular entitlement process, or some people call them SLA processes. I'll drill into the X90, X900 product support, and you'll see that we actually have 5 different versions of this. If I drill in a little bit further, we're actually looking at the process itself here with a couple milestones that it has. And down here we've added entitlement and case update rules. Now this is important because you can upgrade or downgrade from any entitlement version to any other entitlement version of the same process. So in this particular case, we're going to upgrade to version 5 from version 4. And if I click View, this will take me to the page where you can see I've already completed this, but if I were to click the Start button and I hadn't done that before, this would run a background process and update all of the cases, all the relationships in my org. So very powerful feature if you're managing a large case volume and have SLA processes that change, you change your business practice from time to time, or possibly, seasonally things might change. A lot of customers who I know are really going to enjoy this feature. Okay, so with that, I think I am nearly at time here. Sam or Jennifer, do we have any questions that we want to wrap up before I pass the ball over to Gotham?
Yeah, I have a couple quick questions. The first being for the mobile case feed that you showed. What devices does that work for?
Great question. We designed this entirely with HTML5, so everything that you see happening here is pure HTML. So the answer is it works on every device that supports the latest version of HTML. So in practice, that really means iOS, Android, BlackBerry, and Windows Phone, Windows 8.
Okay. Great. And then is there a limit on the number of recurring milestones that you can have for a given case?
So I believe that the total number of milestones that you can have in a given entitlement process is, I think it is 1,000, if I remember correctly. I can verify that in the Q&A FAQ that we complete later. And so the number of recurring milestones will follow that same pattern. Those don't actually count against your total count.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Sam, did you have a?
Yeah, so I have a question. You know that I am very fond of the case feed layout, and I think it's underutilized by a lot of organizations. So I know that what we're doing with each release is we're adding features and functionality to case feeds and what that means. Can you help our audience understand when case feeds came out, the value behind it? And also, I want people to understand that they can use case feeds even if they aren't using the Service Cloud console. So that would be great if you could help us get a little bit of a vision around that.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because this is a feature that we introduced about 2.5 years ago in response to a lot of our largest customers asking us for a single chronological view of every interaction on a particular case. In fact, we watched a few of our really great Service Cloud customers build essentially what is the case feed using Visualforce in their own orgs. And so that was a pretty strong indication that we had to go in a new direction for the case UI. So what we did was we leveraged Chatter, because Chatter's feed capabilities gives you kind of the social framework to interact and have a conversation around particular things. So for example, if I was an agent and I wanted to comment on this email saying, I really wanted to follow up on this, we'll send more later. This obviously is just an internal comment, but it serves to really serves to add more context around what you're doing on the case. And so we've been investing very heavily in the case feed over the last few years, and there's really no end in sight. We've added so many different publisher types, and we call these publishers up top because Chatter, when Chatter was introduced, all they had initially was the notion of a text post, which is still here as well. You've got simple things like file, but we added some things like the ability to log a call, the ability now with publisher actions, which are fully customizable to create any object in Salesforce, including custom objects using a publisher. And then you can, the number of options goes on and on. We opened it up about a year ago by allowing Visualforce publishers to also be added. I don't have any Visualforce publishers in this particular org, but I've seen some customers do some absolutely amazing things. We have a large airline that's a customer of ours that built a publisher in CaseFeed to track lost luggage for customers, and should it not be found, to actually pass on some airline points as a way to compensate a customer whose luggage they lost. We're also now starting to see some of our partners, like DocuSign, build in document signing capabilities into the publishers and some creative video conferencing capabilities. So really, the opportunities are endless here. And we still do, even if you adopt the new case UI, you can also switch over to the classic view, which is the classic detail page that has been around for a long time. So you don't lose that. You're actually just gaining this new feed view. And we're really looking forward to more and more customers adopting it. It really has been a tremendously exciting feature to roll out because it really changes the game and allows our customers who have high volume contact centers and those who want to do, give their agents the ability to really reduce the number of clicks to complete transactions to do so in a really elegant way.
We'll post some videos that are out there for our audience in the Release Readiness group so you can see case feeds in action independent of the console. I'm a big believer of the console, but if you're not using the console, it's still an interface that I think that you're going to want to understand and explore, possibly turn on in a developer edition or your sandbox and understand it because it is the future. And I would encourage everybody, if you haven't started looking at this, make sure that you look at this. So Scott, any other last words? And if not, I'll pass the presentation on.
I appreciate everyone joining the call today, and please do send in your questions because we want to answer as many of those as we possibly can. Thank you very much.
Okay. Gautam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sam. Good afternoon, folks, or at least good afternoon in California. My name is Gautam Vasudev, and I'm the product manager for the Service Cloud Console and CTI here at Salesforce, and I work with Scott and John. And I was just commenting this morning how incredible all the functionality that's coming out of Scott's team is. It's also quite complex. It's not just the volume or the amount of functionality. It's also that it enables some really complex business process enablement. So I'm going to walk through some of the Service Cloud Console features that are coming out in Winter 14, and my hope is that you like what you see and you're excited by it, and at the end of this, when Winter 14 reaches your instance, you are motivated to try out some of this functionality. The format that I'll be presenting in is much the same as Scott's. I'll go through a demo, and at the end of the demo, I'm going to summarize all that I showed you and also speak to some of the functionality that I can't get to today, primarily because we have a short window to present this overview. So let me dive right in here. I'm going to bring up my console. And my persona today is that of an agent. So as an agent, I've logged into my Service Cloud Console. And you can see here that my landing page is my Home tab. Now, the Home tab has always been available in the Standard app, but wasn't available in the Service Cloud Console. It was easy to get around this via Web tab, but with Winter 14, we've given customers the ability to add this Home tab right out of the box. So you can see here that you can bring up your tasks and you can bring up your calendar just in the same way that you would use it in the Standard app. And if you're looking to understand how to set this up, it's actually quite easy. You would just go to the setup and go to the console configuration page. And in my particular case, the console configuration is for this Service Cloud Console. So I'm just going to bring that up. And it's down here. So if I go into this page, there's a whole host of settings that you can apply to your console. But the Home tab is one of the easiest. All you have to do is drag it from the available items to the selected items. And with this, it will show up in your Navigation tab. So here you can see that my Home tab is the first item that's available in my Navigation tab. So for all the folks that were looking for a way for agents to access their tasks and calendars through the Service Cloud Console, it's now here, and it's yours to leverage. So feel free to give that a shot once it comes out. So let's continue with our story. I've logged in as an agent. I see my tasks. I know what my day looks like, and I'm now ready to take cases. So I'm going to switch over to my work view here, and I'm going to bring up a case. The one that I'm going to be working on is from Katie Miller, and it's also the same case Scott showed you, so I want to continue that story. As I'm working through the case, it might need me to investigate various aspects of this case, such as the knowledge article or even the Katie Miller record. So as I'm bringing these up, you'll notice that all of these tabs are loading, and it's a little slow because we're in pre-release here. We're not actually in production. So as this is loading, you can see that I have a full workspace now with a primary tab and 3 subtabs. One of the abilities that wasn't previously available in the console was knowing which tab you open. We now have an out-of-the-box component which shows you exactly which tabs are being opened in the console, and as you close them, these tabs are retained. So you can see here that I have all the tabs that I open, and I can bring it up again. Now, when I click on the case that I just closed, not only do I bring up the case, I also bring up all the subtabs associated with that case and workspace as I was working through it. In fact, you can expand this, and you can actually see the knowledge article and Katie Miller's record. So this is incredibly handy because it's the equivalent of the recently used component in the standard app and a little more. You can bring up individual subtabs from here. You can also get a link to the actual record. So you can get either the Salesforce link, or you can even get the console URL. If you're not familiar with the console URL, it allows you to grab the contents of an entire workspace. So in this instance, you'll see here that I'm grabbing the primary tab and all the subtabs. So if I go ahead and paste this into a new window, it's actually going to bring up that entire workspace once again. And I'm going to wait here and let it load because I know there's a little bit of lag on the webinar. So as you can see here, as the page finishes loading, I have my Katie Miller record and the knowledge article and the case. So in one handy nifty URL, you've got your entire console workspace available to you. Now, previously, prior to Winter 14, we always have had the ability to show sidebar components. Here we have some pretty cool components that have complementary data to the contact details page. But on the left-hand side, we have a component that's showing a summary of the account. And not only is it showing a summary of the account detail, but it's also showing you related lists from the parent account. So I see here that it's showing me service contacts and all the cases for this account. And that's pretty handy. So, well, the natural question is, how can you create such a component? And also, the question might be, how can we show certain data here? Well, it is actually very straightforward. So if I go to my contacts detail page here, and I pull up the page layout for it, in the console components page, I now have a new component type available to me, and it's called the lookup component. So the lookup component allows you to add summary views of lookup fields from your record. So I'm on a contact, and I'm displaying a summary view of the account field. And the name of the field happens to be account name here, so that's why you're seeing account name. But other lookup fields on this contact record are the reports to for the contact and the primary service contract. So with the lookup component for any lookup field, for example, if you're in a case, you can do a lookup component that displays contact information. Or if you're in a contact, as we are here, we can do a lookup component to the account. And that's what you're seeing here. Alongside it, you're also seeing our previous capabilities, which is the Visual Force page on the right, which is a component here, and also a highlights panel which is another Visualforce component, which I've actually hidden, but you can see it here. So this new lookup component is available to you from Windows 14, and the way you can configure the contents of this component are based on the mini page layout for the lookup itself. So here we're looking at the account detail, and if I wanted to modify the fields here, I would go to the accounts page layout. And I happen to know which account page layout this corresponds to. So for me, it's pretty straightforward to alter it. I'll have to go to the mini page layout here, and you can see all the fields that have been previously selected. So to show you how easy this is, I'm going to go ahead and add the industry field here, and I'm going to remove service contracts, which are both well, the industry is not shown here, and service contracts is. So you'll see this change once I go ahead and save my change to the mini page layout. So I'm going to wait for that, and now if I go back here and I refresh the KD Miller tab, you'll see that I was able to change this, and it's all point and click. And this is one of the main takeaways I would love for you to notice through this webinar. The console previously has always had a philosophy and initiative around adding more platform and framework capabilities. Well, with Winter 14 and with future releases, we are complementing that with a real focus on out-of-the-box turnkey functionality. So if you notice the Home tab here and the recently used component and this lookup component, they're all point and click. We are trying to ensure that along with all the APIs and component frameworks that we release, we do want to provide just an amazing out-of-the-box experience for customers so that you can configure really rich interfaces for your agents and make them more efficient with minimal lines of code. That's not to say that we've moved away from adding more framework and platform capabilities. A new addition in Winter 14, along with the lookup component, is a new component type called a Canvas app. So what a Canvas app component does is, as you guessed it, it allows you to bring in Canvas apps directly into the console. For those on the call who aren't familiar with Canvas, it's a framework that allows you to bring in third-party applications into Salesforce in an intelligent manner. And the intelligence here refers to the capability of Canvas to use Salesforce-based security and authentication to interact with your third-party application. So you can use Salesforce to authenticate agents within your third-party application. You can use Canvas to do data lifts into Salesforce using a JavaScript API. So it makes your integration a lot deeper with its capabilities. Now, Canvas components aren't just restricted to your sidebar components. They aren't just restricted just to being available in the primary or subtabs. You can also add Canvas components at the footer level. So if you were curious, the way to add Canvas components at the footer level is very straightforward. And once again, this goes back to a philosophy of enabling more via clicks. So if you go to the custom console components page and try to create a new component, you have an option now to not just pull a component from a Visualforce page, but also a Canvas app as well. Now, we love Canvas so much that we have actually gone ahead and also enabled Canvas for soft phones and CTI. So if you're looking to bring in soft phone capabilities through an existing web-based soft phone, or you're building a soft phone for the Salesforce application, you can now build it in Canvas and surface it directly within the Salesforce framework. So soft phones can now point to Canvas apps just like console components. I'm going to show you one last feature here, and this is one of my favorite features, primarily because it's very simple and yet so immensely functional. It is a keyboard shortcut panel, and why this is so amazing is because having been a power user for a number of different applications, it's frustrating when I know that a keyboard shortcut for something and I don't know what it is. The keyboard shortcut panel in the console allows you to view all the available keyboard shortcuts, and it grays out the ones that are disabled. It additionally shows you the keyboard shortcuts for all your custom keyboard shortcuts as well. And alongside those, it provides you a description. So I have a logger of Salesforce keyboard shortcut here, and my description for it was shown alongside in this bubble. If you are looking to see where this information is coming from, if I go back to my console configuration page, you can see here in the keyboard shortcut section, I have all my custom keyboard shortcuts listed out here. So what the keyboard shortcuts panel is doing is pulling all the information on this page and showing it directly inside the console for your agents. And hopefully this encourages them to use the keyboard shortcuts and get that efficiency or productivity gain that you were looking for when you're creating them, or when you were creating these keyboard shortcuts. So in the interest of time, I'm going to stop here and go back to my deck. And what I'm going to do is recap some of what we've seen and also speak to some of what we couldn't cover. So the first component that I spoke to was the recently used component. And once again, there's a lot more to this component than just seeing what objects or what tabs have been opened. So there's more, we've tried to add more functionality to it, and in the future we might be adding more. But it's definitely a component that is easy to enable, and for just the click of a checkbox or for a simple setup step, you can really make your agents' lives much easier. The second component I want to highlight is the lookup component. There's an immense amount of capability here, and one of the things I did not show you, which I do want to bring up here. I feel like I need to exit this. For the edit capabilities in the lookup component, you can edit right here within the component itself. And if you want an in-depth view of this lookup record, the view button takes you to the actual record itself. So it's good to be aware of this, because once again, we're trying to make sure that the agent is able to update records and view the information directly from within context with the fewest number of clicks possible. At the same time, it's good to bear in mind that you don't want to overload this panel with information, because otherwise it's just going to drown out important information on the rest of the console. Also, amazing capability added in Winter 14 with Canvas. You have the option now to bring in a number of different processes, a number of different back-end applications directly into the console. And this framework is really amazing for integrating at a much deeper level applications that previously would have been integrated just as simple iframes and at a very surface level. And the keyboard shortcut panel, as I said, one of my favorite features, adds a huge amount of usability and really makes that experience in the console a lot more delightful. So I've gone over what I showed. I want to point out two features that I didn't get an opportunity to cover. IE10 support. The console is now fully enabled for IE10, so if that was in any way holding you back from moving on to IE10, it's not a concern anymore. And we also introduced a redundancy framework for CTI. So what that translates to is if you have an active-active or active-passive setup, and you'll have to work with your CTI partner for this, we now have the ability for the Salesforce application to know if your soft phone is down and then switch automatically to a backup. It's only a one or a single level redundancy, but it's available for you starting Winter 14. And just a note on the CTI ecosystem, it's growing tremendously, especially with the new OpenCTI framework. For those of you on the call who are not familiar with OpenCTI, it's a cloud-based integration framework for CTI, and why it's so significantly better than the desktop CTIs, because usually there is no desktop footprint anymore. It's all delivered to the browser, so it's going to work in your Citrix, VMware, or any of the remote desktop environments. And also, it allows your partners to innovate much faster and really surface all their capabilities and not be held back by the limitations of the previous desktop CTI toolkit. I'm going to end on this last slide. The Service Cloud Console is now the Salesforce Console. It is available in the Sales Cloud as well. The price point is the same, so it's not that one cloud is more expensive than the other. They're both the same. We just wanted to expand our footprint of availability for the Service Cloud Console. So for those of you who are interested, this application is just very, very optimized, or very, very good at building interfaces for your agents to have efficient, productive workflows, and really get them to a point where everything that they need to service a call or to make that inside sales call or the telesales call is right at their fingertips. And we're all about high volume, high touch experiences for the agent. So if you have any interest around the Service Cloud Console and this kind of UI, I would definitely encourage you to explore more. There's some blogs out there. And also attend the Dreamforce session. There's some amazing capabilities coming out at Dreamforce, and I'm very, very excited about it. So I will stop here, Sam, and I'm happy to hand it off to John if there are no questions.
I have one question for you. If I'm an admin and I want to play with the Service Cloud Console or the Salesforce Console, what can you describe in just a quick couple of sentences? What are the resources that are out there to help me get started?
Okay, so if you want to just enable the Service Cloud Console, definitely our help and training, there's a full section on how to enable the Service Cloud Console. If you want to just read up on the console and find out more about some of our decisions, some of the philosophy behind the console, if you can just go to Google and search for Service Cloud Console, and one of the first links you will get is some of the blogs that we've written around it. And these blogs really are where you want to go. So you can see a lot of these are just like setting up the Service Cloud Console and overview. And yeah, you should have no trouble getting up and running.
All righty, and we'll find some of this for everybody on the call. We'll find some of these links for you, and we'll put them right in the community. And to move it along, we're going to hear about live agents. So John, I am passing the baton on to you. You should have it now.
John might be muted.
And John, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
I think now it should work. Are you there, John?
Okay. Yep, I'm here. And
there we
thank
go.
you very much. Great. Well, I will not delay in getting started. We have very little time left, and I have a whole lot to tell you about. My name is John Aniano. I'm product management on the Service Cloud team. I'm focusing here today on the Live Agent product. I've probably worked with many of you out there on the Success community or on Twitter already. And I encourage any of you to reach out to me directly on the community or on Twitter. You've got my Twitter handle right there at John Aniano. Look forward to working with you in the future. All right, so there have been a lot of features. I'm very excited about this release for Live Agent. It's really brought the functionality much higher and delivered a lot of the true-to-the-core functionality that our large enterprise customers and small customers alike have been asking for the last year or so. All this information, or most of this information, is in the release notes, so I won't spend any time going line by line here on this slide. But hopefully, I'll pack a little bit of information here into the upcoming slides and some demos. So one of the biggest things I think that we delivered this release in Live Agent is called automated chat invitations. This is, you've probably seen these online from other products where you're browsing around a website and this nice little floating invitation sort of lightly floats into the page and says, we have agents available, would you like to chat? Well, now you can deliver that with a new out-of-the-box feature that's GA in winter for Live Agent called Automated Chat Invitations. So I'll just do a quick demo of that here. I've got my e-commerce website or any kind of website that you'd like lined up here. And I'm just going to reload this page to start the invite triggering. And hopefully in about 10 seconds, what we're going to see, and I don't know how well this will show on the go-to, but from the top right to the bottom left, you're going to see an invitation sort of float into the screen and kind of stick there on the page. Very cool functionality, very important for proactive chat use cases in sales, retail, e-commerce, lead gen, but also in some customer support examples as well. So really opens up the use cases for Live Agent. Now, the cool thing I think about this feature is that it's really mostly declarative. So automated chat invitations are just another type of chat button. So where you normally set up your Live Agent chat buttons, you come in here and you set up a button of type automated invitation. That gives you all the standard button settings on routing and everything like that. But it also gives you some new settings like the animation. So we saw that that invitation floated in from the upper right to the lower left. We slid it in, but you could also do a fade animation and just fade it into place, or an appear animation and just sort of pop it into place. The animations are all up to you, and if you're into some heavy development and you want to do a custom animation, you could do that as well in JavaScript. Most customers probably just shoot a slide animation there, and therefore it's all declarative. The next part, which again is all declarative, is the rule. So obviously those invitations will float onto the page based on visitor behavior. Here's where you set up the rules about which visitor behavior will trigger the invite. So in this case, the customer's time on that page is greater than 10 seconds, and the URL of that page has to include Best Tech Home. Otherwise, that invite wouldn't fire. But you see here, after 10 seconds, and because the page had Best Tech Home, that invite fired on the page. You can get really as complex as you want here. We offer a lot of out-of-the-box rules like time on page, time on site, page views, URL match. But we also allow, and I'll go back here really quickly, I did that wrong. We also allow a custom variable. So let's say you run an e-commerce website and you've got a shopping cart value on that e-commerce website. Well, you can add to the rules that the customer's shopping cart value must be greater than $500. Then you can pass that data in with just a little bit of JavaScript on the page, add that rule to your rule and your filter logic, and this can get pretty complex. So you can do 1 and 2 or 3, just like you can do in other parts of Salesforce. Sky's the limit here, and that's how you create and animate those automated chat invitations. Very exciting stuff. A very big feature that we delivered in Winter 14. Let's go down through some of the other features as quickly as we can. We also delivered something called critical wait and a better tab state for the ended state. All of this is really about driving better agent efficiency and allowing agents to deliver a higher level of customer service via chat. So critical wait will basically alert your agents with a nice bright red alert when they've taken too long to respond to a customer's message. So again, driving a little bit of productivity, especially when an agent has multiple chats. And we've also sort of made the chat ended state more obvious when an agent is in multiple chats and the chat has ended. I'm going to do one demo of this because it's very quick. But you can see here I've got my chat open. I've got my chat as the agent on the left-hand side. I've got a case alongside here that I'm also working while I'm on the chat. The customer in the chat will send a message and say, my printer is broken in this example. We'll see that on the agent side, we got an alert as soon as that message was sent. That indicates that I need to respond to the customer. But if I wait long enough here, you'll see that that little yellow alert up here is going to turn red, letting me know that I really have taken too long to respond. And there you go. And you can imagine that this is a very important notification or a secondary notification if I've got multiple chats going on here in primary tabs. Hugely important feature. Of course, that alert will clear as soon as I send a message as the agent. And that is another thing that's all declarative here. You set this up at an agent configuration level, and you can set this up per agent configuration to show a critical wait alert time. Very simple stuff, but very powerful. All right, what else have we done? So we've also done a major upgrade to the supervisor panel. So we've added a lot more filters to the supervisor panel, but we've also added some settings and some defaults. So what this means is that previously, if you had a list of, let's say, 200 agents in the supervisor panel, it might be difficult for you to choose, see which ones were online, which ones are offline, to filter the list to make it more usable. So we've added these filters up here to the supervisor panel, and we've also added some supervisor settings that let me determine, whether a particular supervisor can monitor in-progress chats, whether they can send whisper messages, whether they can do a sneak peek, and what are all the defaults for all of the filters, and what skills are they allowed to manage. So I've gone through it quickly, but it's a huge up-leveling of the supervisor panel, especially for large enterprise customers or small customers that have many different support groups. I'll just show you a quick refresher on the supervisor panel that I think it's worth showing here. If I'm logged in as a supervisor, this is the supervisor panel that I'll see, and you can see now we can filter this large list to show only the online agents, and we can filter by skill or by button, and we could turn on and off functionality. So I'll show you really quickly here supervisor chat monitoring. You can see that this supervisor is monitoring that in-progress chat that we just saw, and the supervisor here can also send a whisper message, and this message will be seen only by the agent and not by the customer, and we've basically provided more granular control over which of these features a particular supervisor can use. Okay, great. I'm going to go through a couple more and just mention some of the really exciting APIs that we have coming, and then we'll just turn it over for some questions. So I won't do a demo of these next couple of features, but I think they're definitely worth noting. So you are now able to deliver a custom agent name in Live Agent. So previously the agent name would always be, by default, agent's first name and then the first letter of the customer's last name, which works in most use cases, but sometimes you've got different needs. Some languages use a different name format, obviously, across the world. So now you can actually deliver a custom agent name and either type something static, like agent or service, service person or whatever you want to put there. Or you can actually use merge fields. I don't show that here, but you might use a merge field like user first name and just use the user's first name. You might create a custom merge field that's called chat name and let the agents manage their own chat name. That's up to you, but we've really made that completely flexible at this point through the use of either text or merge fields. One additional thing that we've provided is now you can actually use merge fields in the auto greeting. So I can put together an auto greeting that says something like, "Hello, Bob. My name is John. How can I help you today?" And previously this was not, you weren't able to use merge fields here, so you had to be more generic. This allows you to deliver a much more personalized sort of greeting to each of your customers. All right. But we took this concept one step further, and so the next feature that we delivered is agent name and greeting overrides. Now what this means, and I'll give you a good use case for this, let's say you've got a multilingual agent, and that agent is handling English language chats and Spanish language chats. Well, when a chat comes in from a Spanish language chat button or a Spanish language customer, you want to present a tailored agent name and automated greeting so that you don't have to do a sort of generic greeting, you don't have to show English language to your Spanish language customers, etc., and just deliver a more, again, personalized experience to those customers. So now for every single chat button, you can override the agent name and greeting depending on the context. Now language is just one example here, but you might want to do this for different product groups. So, for instance, thank you for contacting printer support versus mobile support or something like that. Even if it's just a single agent that handles both queues. So very powerful stuff, very flexible, all declarative, ready to go in Winter 14. One quick thing that we've delivered here, we've also done UI updates on the chat log and the chat accept widget, just some general readability and usability updates, some modernization, just to make it easier for the agents to use the chat log and the chat request widget, make fewer clicks to accept chats, deliver more important information up front, etc. So very exciting stuff. This will just be automatically turned on for you with Winter 14. Finally, I don't want to go without mentioning all of the, because even with all those great features, there was just as much, if not more, work done to Live Agent APIs in Winter that are enabling some really, really exciting things. One of the cool ones is the Console Toolkit API. So those of you who've worked with the Service Cloud Console Toolkit, which is a very, very rich, very powerful JavaScript API in the console, we've added, I think, over 20 or almost 30 methods that focus just on Live Agent functionality into that toolkit. We've also delivered some new pre-chat APIs that let you automatically find and or create contacts and or cases during the chat initiation process. without using Apex code. So very exciting for our customers who've had to do a little bit of coding to get around that. To date, we've also increased our metadata API support. We've delivered a pure REST API, so you can build chat windows into native mobile applications on iOS or Android or Windows or wherever you're building your native applications, as well as desktop applications and other integrations as well. And then we've got a couple pilots around custom routing integration with, for instance, a telephony system or a skills-based routing system, as well as direct-to-agent routing. I do want to show one really quick example of a use of one of those APIs. So here I have the Service Cloud Console open. I'm chatting with a customer. I've built a little piece of integration using those APIs. Now, this isn't functionality that we're delivering out of the box in Winter 14, but it's something that you could build using the APIs. I've built a profanity filter in chat. So if the agent tries to send some profanity, and of course I won't use a really profane word on this recorded webinar, but I will just say this message contains the word profanity. That'll trigger my profanity filter, and the agent won't be able to send that message. We'll tell them that their message contains profanity and they need to edit it. So that's a good example of what you might do with these APIs, as well as another functionality just to show you I've built, and this is all Visualforce again, this is all built with Visualforce and the JavaScript API, but this is a small little quick text browser. And through the API, at the click of a button, I can send this quick text to the agent's input, or I can even just send it directly to the customer, and that'll show up in the message. So this is just scratching the surface of what's available in Winter, but we have deep, rich APIs that allow you to create custom agent experiences and really do complex interaction with the chats. All right, so hopefully that was enough for all of you. Definitely there's tons of information in the release notes and the development guides for Winter 14. I'll end there, and we'll let Sam wrap up.
Jennifer, we have time for 2 questions for John.
All right. So Daryl asks, is the chat feature for websites running on sites only, or is there some way to use for external websites as well?
So great question. Live Agent can be used on any website. We give you a little bit of code that you put into your website, whether it's a Salesforce-powered website or whether it's your own homegrown website or a third-party hosted site. It doesn't matter. You take our chat button code or our automated chat invitation code, you put it into your site, and it can work on any website.
Okay, great. And then a lot of other questions about licensing for Live Agent, so we'll post some information on licensing for Live Agent. And Sam, I think we're in our last minute here, so you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, so just again, I want to stress the fact that the community is there for you to continue these conversations with us, with product managers, with MVPs, and other customers. So please join the communities, join those collaboration groups. We will be posting this deck. We'll be posting a recording and also some other pieces of information like an FAQs from all of your questions. We'll include both the answers and the unanswered questions. So look to the community for those posts. It takes us about a day, day and a half to process that. So it'll be out there in the community, and we look forward to hearing you from there. And I guess I'm closing with some music. I'm not quite sure where it came from. So to that fact, we're going to say goodbye and good night. Thank you.